We do want to turn now to horrifying moments at a Major League Baseball game. A player leaving the game hospitalized, now in critical condition this morning.
It happened during the game in the dugout. Chicago White Sox pitcher Danny Farquhar collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital after suffering a brain hemorrhage. Just moments after throwing 15 pitches against the Houston Astros Friday night, White Sox pitcher Danny Farquhar suddenly collapsing in the dugout from a brain aneurysm.
Something did happen with Danny Farquhar. I don't know anything more than that, but they did take him away.
Paramedics and members of his team are seen rushing to his aid, quickly carrying the 31-year-old out and rushing him to the hospital.
Just pitched in the big league game, and a couple minutes later, he's laying on the ground.
ABC News learning that Farquhar underwent several surgeries and is currently stable but in critical condition.
When he left here, he had a strong heartbeat and a good pulse, and he was breathing well, and the EMTs came in and made sure that they gave him oxygen.
Overnight, Farquhar's teammates paying tribute to him by inscribing his initials and number on their hats and hanging his jersey from the dugout. All while tweets poured in from other teams, sending their well wishes to the father of three.
He's alive, he's got a chance, and that's what I'm hanging on to, and prayers are more necessary than talk.
And our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Jen Ashton, joins us from Massachusetts. Jen, good morning. I spoke to the White Sox. They tell me that he was exhibiting no signs prior to the aneurysm. He had just pitched the previous inning, but there are typically warning signs that people should look for, right?
Well, right. And when you talk about the brain, we have to remember it is exquisitely sensitive to injury, and the skull is unforgiving to swelling, and rupture of an aneurysm, which is basically a ballooning of a blood vessel, causes swelling of the brain. Most times this happens without any warning, but there are some classic warning signs. The biggest is something we call WHOL. It's the worst headache of your life. Then there are things like nausea, dizziness, stiff neck, sensitivity to light, some double vision and difficulty speaking, although we have to note that obviously someone can have these signs or symptoms and not be having a ruptured aneurysm.
Sure.
And Jen, what do we know about the treatment when this happens?
Well, look, this is a surgical emergency. The patient goes into the emergency room, they get a CAT scan of their brain to find out where the bleeding is, and they go right to the OR to try to stop the bleeding, either with a clip or a coil and a craniotomy to relieve some of the pressure that's built up. But the next hours and days are critical for anyone dealing with this type of situation.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're keeping a close watch on Danny this morning. Jen, thank you. And I just want to say kudos to the White Sox medical staff. They jumped in right away.
Wow, I'm so lucky that it happened actually at the game.
Exactly.
People around him.
I know.